Alaska, once sold for less than $7 million, now stands at the crossroads of history. Trump and Putin are meeting in this remote, icy frontier, and what happens here could redraw the map of international diplomacy. It's mid-August 2025. In the remote Alaskan wilderness where snow-laced mountains stretch toward a pale sky, the stage is being set for a diplomatic whirlwind. President Trump and President Putin, two of the world's most talked-about figures, are converging in Anchorage for a summit unlike any other this century. What makes this moment historic isn't just who's meeting, but where and why. Alaska's symbolic and strategic value is stunning. Sold by Russia to the U.S. in 1867 for $7.2 million, about 2 cents per acre, it was long dismissed as Seward's folly. But today, that same land stands at the edge of the Arctic, rich in energy, defense infrastructure, and built on a legacy of crossing and clashing superpower ambitions. Why Alaska? Why would two presidents, one Russian, one American, choose such a remote frontier for their face-to-face? Analysts say it's smart geography and safer politics. Putin and ICC indictee needed a travel-safe zone. Alaska, U.S. soil, offered exactly that: security, neutrality, and symbolism, all wrapped in Alaskan wilderness. And it's loaded with meaning. Russia sold Alaska in 1867 to fund expansion elsewhere. Now, the two presidents are meeting on that same land, stirring global attention. Russian nationalists have even jokingly whispered, "Will Alaska be sold back?" to voice mock nostalgia. The world was watching when Trump, in a White House briefing, accidentally said, "I'm going to Russia on Friday." Before quickly correcting himself, the internet erupted. Memes, criticism, and jokes flooded social media, questioning his mental sharpness. Residents in Anchorage reacted with their own sharp wit. "Please don't sell us back," they laughed, expressing pride in their state and unease at the heavy symbolism. At the core of this meeting, Ukraine. Trump has floated the idea of ceding territory for peace, even suggesting that Ukraine must give up land for a ceasefire. Ukrainian President Zelensky pushed back hard, rejecting any deal made without Ukraine at the table. The summit is not just about peace talks. It could define whether international borders are negotiable and whether power-backed deals override sovereignty. In Anchorage, Trump stood before cameras declaring he won't be happy if the ceasefire doesn't happen today, as Western allies watched in disbelief. He offered security assurances for Ukraine, but stopped short of full NATO membership. Meanwhile, European nations and Kiev echoed that any meaningful agreement must include Ukraine, not just US and Russia. This isn't simply another summit. It rekindles echoes of past US-Russia diplomacy, from Geneva to Helsinki, yet none felt as laden with history as Alaska, former Russian land, now hosting a power play with global consequences. This is implementation. The absence of Ukrainian or European representation only deepens the drama. Observers called it a show of strength by Putin. Others see it as a reckless move risking peace for deal-making symbolism. This is the rising time. Global watchers wait. As cameras flashed and world leaders calibrated their reactions, global media tuned in. From Moscow to Kiev, from European capitals to Washington, every pause, every handshake, and every word was interpreted. Would it be a breakthrough or a media spectacle? This is no new after. Let's leave into the first, the aftermath and what could come next. As the summit concluded, analysts warned, this wasn't the end. It might just be the start of a longer negotiation trek. Trump hinted at inviting Zelensky to a follow-up meeting if progress was made. But the damage, or gain, of dividing the discussion room remains to be seen. This is through the future summit that excluding Ukraine undermines moral diplomacy and legitimizes aggression, a dangerous precedent of negotiating on behalf of those not present. Of single timing. It is being under know that it's clear with breath and professifying the cold media, even playing. This was more than a meeting in the wilds of Alaska. It was a crossroads of global power, history, and stakes. In a place once dismissed as frozen frontier, the future of sovereignty, peace, and diplomacy was quietly and dramatically being negotiated. Here, on land sold off over 150 years ago, two presidents met, not to fight, but to decide the fate of nations.